The void of space suddenly shimmered with an unnatural light as the vast fleet of Second Earth slipped out of the wormhole, a cosmic gateway that had long been whispered about, but never truly seen in this part of the galaxy. The ships that emerged were unlike anything the Interstellar Alliance had ever witnessed before. They moved with a quiet grace, their hulls gleaming under distant stars, sleek and designed with a mix of elegant curves and sharp edges that spoke of advanced technology and careful craftsmanship. These were not the bulky, outdated war machines the Alliance had grown used to controlling. These ships looked alive, as if they were built for more than just combat. They were built for a purpose far greater than mere domination. Slowly but surely, the fleet arranged itself into formation, spreading like a silver net over the blackness of space, stretching beyond the vision of the alien commanders who watched with growing alarm from their control centers. For centuries, the Interstellar Alliance had maintained a fragile peace, ruling vast regions with a powerful grip, backed by fleets scattered across countless star systems. Their ships were strong, but the technology was old and the tactics predictable. Now, facing the unexpected sight of Second Earth's fleet, seasoned commanders and hardened veterans found themselves gripped by a rare and unsettling emotion: fear. How could this distant, long-forgotten planet suddenly produce such a force, one capable of challenging the very balance of power in the galaxy? As whispers began to spread through the alien ranks, the sense of panic grew. The commanders called emergency meetings, their voices urgent as they tried to piece together information that was, at best, incomplete and at worst, terrifying. No records mentioned a second Earth fleet of this magnitude. No intelligence had prepared them for such an arrival. The ships moved into orbit around a key stronghold, a heavily fortified planet that served as a critical hub for the Alliance's military and trade. From the vantage point of this world, the fleet's size and precision became undeniable. The sheer scale was overwhelming. Hundreds of vessels, each bristling with weaponry, yet maintaining an air of controlled discipline. The Alliance's communication channels buzzed with activity, but no one could find a coherent explanation. Some speculated that this was a last-ditch effort by a forgotten colony rising in rebellion. Others feared the arrival of a new enemy that had mastered technology far beyond their own. The truth, however, remained hidden behind layers of human resolve and preparation that no alien intelligence had ever seen before. Within the alien command centers, officers and strategists worked frantically, their holographic maps flickering as they plotted defensive maneuvers and countermeasures. Yet as they scanned the incoming fleet, something else became clear. The humans were not attacking. Their ships held position, silent and unmoving, as if waiting for something. This unusual behavior deepened the mystery and increased tension. The alien leaders were torn between suspicion and confusion. Why would a force with such power arrive in peace if peace was truly their intent? What was their goal? Many feared it was a trap, a prelude to an overwhelming assault designed to destroy the Alliance in one swift blow. Meanwhile, aboard the flagship of the human fleet, the Aegis, the atmosphere was calm and focused. The bridge was filled with humans, of all ages and backgrounds, each carrying the weight of their planet's hopes. They had trained for this moment for years, learning from Earth's past mistakes and victories. Their commanders knew the power of showing strength and restraint at the same time. The Aegis's captain, a steady-eyed leader with a quiet voice that carried authority, prepared to send a message that would ripple across the stars. A message that would explain the fleet's true purpose and test the alien alliance's willingness to change. The crew knew that history was watching them and that this arrival could mark the beginning of a new era or the start of a devastating war. Back on the alien worlds, rumors began to spread not only among the military, but also among civilians who followed the news through vast networks of information. Some saw the human fleet as invaders, others as potential saviors or rivals who could bring new opportunities for trade and knowledge. The social and political structures within the alliance started to show signs of strain, as leaders debated, fiercely behind closed doors, about how to respond. Would they try to negotiate? Or would they prepare for battle, hoping to crush the newcomers before they could claim more ground? Every decision carried enormous risk, and the eyes of countless species were fixed on the unfolding situation, wondering who would emerge victorious. What made the human fleet even more puzzling was the lack of visible weapons deployment. Despite their intimidating size, no energy beams flared, no missiles streaked across the void. It was as if the humans wanted the Alliance to make the first move, confident that their strength and resolve would speak louder than any initial attack. This silence, this calculated patience, unnerved the aliens more than any barrage of firepower. It was a challenge wrapped in calm, a signal that humanity was ready to rewrite the rules of engagement in the galaxy. Deep beneath the surface of this tension, the Second Earth Fleet held another secret. Their technology was a blend of Earth's long-lost wisdom, rediscovered and enhanced over decades, and new breakthroughs in energy and propulsion that made their ships fast, resilient, and deadly if provoked. Human scientists and engineers had worked tirelessly to ensure that their fleet could not only survive but also inspire fear and respect. The arrival was not just a demonstration of military might. It was a statement that Earth's people had returned, not as isolated survivors but as a force united and ready to take their place among the stars. As night fell on the alien stronghold, the fleet of Second Earth remained steady, a silver constellation hanging in the darkness. No one knew what would come next, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never be the same again. The arrival of humanity had shattered the illusion of control that the Alliance once held. From this moment forward, the balance of power teetered on a knife's edge, and every species had to ask themselves, were they ready for what the Second Earth's fleet truly meant? The silence that followed the arrival of the Second Earth Fleet was broken by a broadcast that echoed across the stars, carried on every available frequency, and reaching every corner of the galaxy. From the flagship Aegis, the message was sent, AETA, voice clear and steady, resonating through alien communication channels that had never before heard such words from a human source. The message carried a tone both defiant and hopeful, a statement that demanded attention and respect. It began not with threats or ultimatums, but with a declaration of identity. Humanity was no longer a forgotten species drifting in the shadows of space. They were here, united, advanced, and ready to claim their place among the stars. The broadcast made it clear that the fleet did not seek needless conflict, but would not back down from any challenge. They offered peace, cooperation, and the chance for mutual growth, but they were prepared for war if that peace was rejected. The tension in alien command centers grew palpable as leaders across many worlds scrambled to interpret this unprecedented communication. Were these humans simply upstarts, desperate and reckless, or had they become something far more dangerous? The questions raced through alien minds, but answers were few. Alien leaders convened emergency councils, their chambers filled with hurried voices and uneasy glances. The broadcast had thrown the Alliance into chaos, revealing not only humanity's return but also their confidence and strength. Many found the message unsettling. It was rare for a newcomer to approach with such boldness. Most species, when expanding, moved cautiously, hiding their true power until they could strike with overwhelming force. But humanity's approach was different, open, direct, and unapologetically strong. Some argued that this was a test, a challenge meant to expose the weaknesses in the Alliance's defenses. Others feared it was a call to arms that would soon become a battle cry echoing across the void. Yet the message also contained an offer, an invitation to discuss, to exchange knowledge, and to forge new alliances. This mixture of warning and hope left the alien leadership uncertain how to respond. Any misstep could lead to disaster, but hesitation might mean losing control over their own future. Meanwhile, aboard the Aegis, the mood was calm but purposeful. The captain, along with senior commanders, understood that the broadcast was only the beginning. Behind the scenes, the fleet's leadership prepared for whatever might come next. They knew the galaxy was watching, waiting to see how this bold gesture would be received. Yet they also held secrets, carefully guarded and deeply embedded in their technology. Secrets drawn from Earth's ancient knowledge, rediscovered and enhanced over decades of silent preparation. This knowledge was the foundation of their strength, hidden from alien eyes and minds that believed they had Earth all but forgotten. Human engineers had integrated lost scientific breakthroughs with cutting-edge innovation, creating ships and weapon systems that combined speed, resilience, and intelligence in ways the Alliance could not imagine. The fleet's calm and measured behavior was no accident. It was a display of confidence rooted in these hidden advantages. The alien intelligence agencies worked overtime to decode any clues about this technology. Reports circulated of strange energy signatures and unusual propulsion systems that defied the Alliance's understanding of physics. Analysts debated whether humans had discovered new laws of science or simply mastered old ones with unparalleled skill. Some speculated that the humans' silence during the initial approach was a sign of overwhelming power held in reserve, a warning that they could strike with devastating force if provoked. This idea unsettled even the most experienced officers, who had grown comfortable with the predictable balance of power they had maintained for generations. Suddenly, everything was uncertain. What had once seemed like a stable and ordered galaxy now felt fragile and unpredictable. At the same time, the broadcast sparked reactions beyond military and political spheres. Across countless worlds, civilians tuned in, trying to understand the significance of humanity's message. Among alien scholars, diplomats, and traders, the news ignited debates about the future. Some saw an opportunity, perhaps humanity's arrival could lead to new discoveries, richer trade, and a broader exchange of ideas. Others warned that the human fleet's presence might bring conflict and upheaval, threatening the delicate peace the Alliance had maintained. Cultural differences made interpreting the message difficult. What the humans saw as strength and hope, others perceived as arrogance or a veiled threat. Yet the message's clarity left no doubt that humanity intended to be taken seriously. The broadcast ended with a call for dialogue, a challenge to the galaxy's powers to either embrace change or face the consequences. Within the human fleet, this moment of communication was seen as a turning point. The Aegis's captain reflected on the journey from Earth's scattered colonies to this powerful moment of emergence. Humanity had grown through struggle and isolation, learning from history and preparing in silence. The broadcast was a declaration not just of power but of purpose, a statement that humans sought a new beginning in the stars, one shaped by cooperation but backed by the readiness to defend what they had earned. Every crew member aboard the HFY fleet understood the weight of this declaration. The message was carefully crafted to challenge the old order without provoking needless war, to inspire hope without showing weakness. It was a delicate balance, and the success of this mission depended on the reactions it provoked. Back in alien command centers, responses began to take shape. Some factions urged immediate military retaliation, fearing that delay would allow humans to strengthen their foothold. Others advocated for cautious diplomacy, hoping to learn more about humanity's true intentions before deciding on a course of action. Political rivalries within the Alliance deepened, as some leaders saw the human fleet as a threat to be crushed, while others saw a chance to reshape the galaxy's future. The broadcast had unsettled the balance of power and opened a door to possibilities both frightening and exciting. As negotiations and debates stretched into hours and days, the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if the message would lead to peace or ignite the flames of war. The broadcast also served as a reminder of humanity's resilience and ambition. The once isolated Earth, scarred by its own past conflicts and struggles, had transformed into a beacon of hope and power. The fleet's arrival was proof that determination and innovation could overcome even the greatest odds. It was a lesson that resonated far beyond human worlds, an example that the universe itself could change when a new player dared to claim their place. As the message faded into the silence of space, one truth remained clear. The galaxy's future was no longer written by the old powers alone. Humanity had arrived, and their voice would be heard. Despite the tense efforts of diplomats on both sides to keep peace, the fragile calm shattered near a vital resource station located on a small moon, rich in rare minerals essential to the alien Alliance's war efforts. The station had long been a contested site, its importance growing with the expansion of space travel and technology. It was here, amid the shadow of towering mining rigs and refueling docks, that the first serious clash between humanity and the alien alliance erupted. though no one had wanted it to happen. The misunderstanding began with a routine patrol by the alien forces, who were nervous and on edge after the arrival of the human fleet. Their ships, sleek but slower and less agile than the human vessels, scanned the area for any signs of hostile activity. When a human scouting ship ventured too close to the resource station's perimeter, the aliens interpreted it as an act of aggression. Orders were quickly given to intercept and disable the intruder before it could threaten their hold on the valuable location. However, what the aliens did not realize was that the humans had sent their pilots to gather information and assess the station's defenses, not to provoke a fight. The pilots flew with the confidence of those trained to think beyond the limits of their machines, combining sharp intuition with the assistance of advanced artificial intelligence systems embedded in their ships. These systems analyzed enemy movements in real time, predicting maneuvers and advising pilots on the best course of action, creating a deadly dance of technology and human instinct. When the alien forces moved to engage, the human pilots responded with lightning-fast precision. They slipped through missile fire and energy blasts with agility that seemed almost impossible, their ships weaving through the chaos like silver arrows. The battle quickly escalated from a simple warning to a full-scale skirmish as both sides launched attacks. Alien commanders watched helplessly as their forces struggled to match the human speed and coordination, their ships forced into retreat after suffering unexpected losses. It was the first time the alien alliance had faced an enemy with such overwhelming tactical advantage, and the shock sent ripples of doubt through their ranks. Yet humanity's goal was not destruction. Even in the heat of battle, human pilots followed strict orders to avoid unnecessary bloodshed. Instead of annihilating the alien ships, they disabled critical systems and used non-lethal methods to force surrenders. Several key alien officers were captured alive, taken aboard human vessels to be treated with respect and dignity. This act of restraint was broadcast live across the galaxy, serving as clear proof of humanity's superior strategy and their commitment to a new way of warfare, one that respected life even in conflict. The broadcast stunned the alien worlds. They had expected ruthless, unrestrained violence, but instead witnessed a demonstration of discipline and control that challenged their own beliefs about strength and honor. Political factions within the alliance began to question the wisdom of their aggressive stance, debating whether continued hostility toward humanity would only lead to greater losses. On the human side, the commanders carefully analyzed every move from the battle, using the data gathered to refine their tactics and prepare for what might come next. They knew that the first clash was only the beginning, but it had sent a powerful message. Humanity was not to be underestimated, and their combination of technology and human spirit made them a formidable force. Meanwhile, back on the resource station, alien workers and civilians watched the battle unfold on screens, caught between fear and hope. The sight of human ships sparing lives despite their clear dominance inspired a mix of awe and confusion. Some whispered that this could be the start of a new era, where strength was measured not just by firepower but by mercy and wisdom. Others remained wary, uncertain if peace could truly be achieved when such power was involved. As the dust settled, the resource station remained under alien control, but the victory felt hollow for the Alliance. Their confidence had been shaken, and the arrival of humanity had proven that the galaxy's balance of power was shifting in ways no one had expected. The human fleet, having proven their resolve and capability without unnecessary cruelty, prepared for the difficult road ahead, one where trust would be hard to earn, and every move could decide the fate of countless worlds. The first clash was a beginning, but it was also a warning. The stars would not remain quiet much longer, and the story of Second Earth and its fleet was just unfolding. The galaxy was no longer the same after the first clash between humanity and the alien alliance. The arrival of the Second Earth fleet had not only shattered the illusion of alien control, but had also triggered deep divisions within the alien factions themselves. Leaders and commanders who had once stood united now found themselves questioning everything they had believed for centuries. Some factions, deeply fearful of humanity's growing power and unpredictable nature, called for total destruction of the human fleet. They saw humanity as an existential threat, a wild force that could not be contained or trusted. Their voices grew louder in war councils and strategic meetings, urging immediate military action to crush the newcomers before they could expand their influence any further. These hawkish groups argued that any cooperation with humans would be a dangerous gamble, risking the Alliance's very survival. They pointed to humanity's swift victories and advanced technology as proof that the human fleet was capable of overwhelming the Alliance's defenses if given the chance. On the other side, a growing number of alien leaders believed that this moment was an opportunity rather than a threat. They saw humanity's arrival as a chance to reshape the galaxy for the better, to gain access to new knowledge, technology, and resources that could elevate all species. These leaders advocated for dialogue and alliance, suggesting that Second Earth's fleet represented a new era of cooperation and progress. They argued that history was filled with examples of great empires and civilizations rising through collaboration, rather than conquest. To them, the humans' offer of peace and their display of restraint during the first clash were signs of genuine intentions, worthy of trust and respect. As these debates raged, the old regime, the Alliance's once solid political and military structure, began to crack. Alliances that had lasted for generations weakened as individual planets and factions reconsidered their loyalties. Rumors of secret meetings between alien leaders and human diplomats spread throughout the galaxy, fueling speculation and hope in equal measure. The human diplomats, skilled and patient, took advantage of this unrest. They traveled to key worlds and listened carefully to the concerns and fears of alien leaders. In their talks, they did not just speak of power or dominance. Instead, they shared stories of Earth's own troubled past. They spoke of humanity's long history of overcoming impossible odds through cooperation, innovation, and a willingness to change. These stories resonated with many alien leaders who had themselves faced challenges of unity and survival. The diplomats emphasized that humanity was not here to replace the old order by force, but to build a new future together, where knowledge and technology would be shared and old rivalries could give way to mutual respect. Slowly but surely, these conversations began to influence opinion. Some alien worlds that had been skeptical or hostile started to reconsider their stance. They saw that the humans were not invaders bent on destruction, but partners seeking common ground. At the same time, the factions urging war grew frustrated, realizing that their threats and bluster were losing ground. The tension between these opposing viewpoints created a volatile political landscape where every decision was critical. Throughout this period of uncertainty, the human fleet remained vigilant, but hopeful. They continued to prepare for possible conflict while extending diplomatic efforts to build trust. The fleet's commanders understood that the true test was not just in battle, but in winning hearts and minds across the galaxy. As the old alliance struggled to maintain cohesion, cracks became more visible. Some planets declared neutrality, unwilling to side fully with either humans or the alien hardliners. Others began secret talks with human representatives, exploring how future cooperation might work. The balance of power was shifting, and no one could predict how far the changes would go. Yet amid this uncertainty, a new possibility emerged, that the galaxy could move beyond endless cycles of war and suspicion. The turning point had arrived, born not from a decisive battle but from the growing realization that survival and progress depended on unity and change. The story of Second Earth was no longer just about a fleet in space. It had become a symbol of hope and transformation. The coming days would test whether this fragile promise could survive the storms ahead or be crushed under the weight of fear and old grudges. The galaxy watched and waited, knowing that whatever happened next would shape the future of all its inhabitants forever. In the vast reaches of deep space, far from the borders of any single world, a neutral station, known simply as the Conquered, became the stage for a historic event that none in the galaxy could have predicted just months before. The alien alliance, once proud and united, now stood fractured and uncertain, its ranks divided by fear, hope, and the weight of change brought by the arrival of the Second Earth fleet. Morale had been shattered by the surprising strength and restraint humans showed in their first clash, and the political landscape was more fragile than ever. Against this uncertain backdrop, Representatives from both humanity and the alien factions gathered aboard the Concord to negotiate a new order for the galaxy. The station, a symbol of neutrality and peace, buzzed with activity as leaders, diplomats, and advisors from countless species came together, bringing with them centuries of rivalry, suspicion, and the desperate desire for a better future. The Misem air was thick with tension, but also with the cautious hope that this meeting could mark the end of old conflicts. Human diplomats, calm and resolute, spoke of shared goals, exploration, knowledge, and survival beyond the narrow boundaries of past rivalries. They reminded the gathered leaders that Earth itself had once been torn by war and division. But through cooperation and innovation, humanity had risen from its struggles to become a force capable of reaching the stars. Their message was simple, but powerful. The galaxy could thrive only if its many peoples learned to work together, respecting one another's strengths and differences. As discussions unfolded, the alien leaders found themselves confronted with a choice that would shape the future. Some held tightly to the old fears, warning that humans could not be trusted and that their rapid rise was a threat to all alien civilizations. But others, inspired by the humans' openness and the undeniable evidence of their peaceful intentions, advocated for a new alliance, one built on mutual respect and the sharing of technology and resources. Throughout long hours and tense debates, compromises were forged. Plans were drawn to dismantle old war fleets and replace them with joint patrols that would protect all worlds from outside threats. Agreements were made to create shared research stations where human and alien scientists could work side by side, exploring the mysteries of space with a unity never before imagined. The Second Earth Fleet, once viewed as a symbol of chaos and disruption, slowly transformed in the eyes of the galaxy into a beacon of hope and a leader in this new era. Its ships, sleek and shining under the station's lights, represented not just military strength but the promise of cooperation and progress. As the summit drew to a close, a formal treaty was signed, one that recognized humanity as a full partner in the governance and exploration of the galaxy. This treaty pledged not only peace, but a commitment to push beyond old divisions and chart a future guided by curiosity, respect, and shared destiny. The final moments of the gathering were filled with a profound silence, an unspoken acknowledgement of the magnitude of what had been achieved. The galaxy had taken its first true step toward unity, not through conquest or fear, but through understanding and trust. Back aboard the flagship Aegis, the captain and crew looked out over the stars with a sense of quiet pride and responsibility. They knew the road ahead would not be easy. Old wounds would take time to heal and challenges would arise. But the dawn of this new age had arrived. Humanity was ready to lead, not as conquerors, but as partners in a vast and beautiful universe, full of possibilities. The story of Second Earth had reached a turning point, and as the fleet set course for the unexplored depths of space, a shared hope filled the hearts of all who dreamed of what could come next. The future was no longer written by fear and division. It was a new dawn, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter, reflecting the promise of a united galaxy ready to discover its true potential together.